In this video, we're going to discuss vSphere Lifecycle Manager and vSAN integration with vSphere 7 Update 1. With vSphere 7 Update 1, there are new features and enhancements to vSphere Lifecycle Manager that can help you streamline and simplify lifecycle operations for vSAN clusters. At the end of this video, we'll meet the following learner objectives. We'll describe vSphere Lifecycle Manager vSAN integration. vSphere 7 Update 1 introduces new enhancements and integrations between vSphere Lifecycle Manager and vSAN. Namely, these are fault domain aware upgrades and an automatic VMware hardware compatibility list validation check. vSAN fault domain aware upgrades allows vSphere Lifecycle Manager to upgrade a vSAN cluster and maintain data availability. vSphere Lifecycle Manager recognizes vSAN fault domains. It will prioritize the preferred vSAN fault domains during lifecycle operations, and it is also compatible with vSAN stretched clusters. vSAN fault domains protect virtual machine data. A fault domain is a set of hardware components that share a single point of failure. Typically, a vSAN fault domain can tolerate failures of a single host, an entire rack, network switch, and more. vSAN ensures that protected objects, virtual machines, are distributed across different fault domains. For more information about fault domains in vSAN, see the vSAN documentation managing fault domains in a vSAN cluster. vSAN fault domains can be configured in a variety of ways. We can have a stretched cluster where vSAN is configured on hosts spanning multiple physical sites. We can have a fault domains created within a single cluster in a single physical site. And we can do a vSAN 2-node configuration where vSAN is configured with 2 data nodes and a witness node at a separate site. vSphere Lifecycle Manager introduces host groups. Host groups are synonymous with fault domains. They act as extensible logical groupings. Host groups are sorted by priority, depending on the configuration, and they are remediated sequentially. During remediation, vSphere Lifecycle Manager designates host groups based on the configured fault domains. vSAN fault domain aware upgrades prioritize the upgrade order, depending on the fault domain configuration. For a stretched cluster or a vSAN 2-node configuration, the fault domain that is designated as preferred is always upgraded first. You can view your preferred fault domain in the vSphere client by selecting the cluster and navigating to Configure and Fault Domains under the vSAN menu. For a standard cluster, the fault domain with the least number of non-compliant hosts is upgraded first. In the event of a tiebreaker, where all fault domains are deemed equal, a fault domain is chosen at random to upgrade first. vSphere Lifecycle Manager can resume the remediation on partially remediated fault domains. vSphere Lifecycle Manager enabled clusters that are also enabled with vSAN are automatically validated against the VMware hardware compatibility list. An automatic validation event will occur before applying a desired image, if the desired image changes, if a host is added or removed to the cluster, and also on a periodic schedule. The periodic schedule is configurable as a vCenter server scheduled task. A vSphere Lifecycle Manager cluster image consists of several elements. Components are software packages that are logically grouped sets of payload used to install or update ESXi. Firmware and driver add-ons contain updated firmware and drivers that are not included in the base ESXi image. Vendor add-ons are components that contain OEM-defined functionality to add to the ESXi image. And the ESXi version is a set of components created and released by VMware that result in a bootable ESXi image. Using vSphere Lifecycle Manager in vSphere 7, we can manually check for recommended images for a cluster that is being managed with vSphere Lifecycle Manager. vSphere Lifecycle Manager checks for compatibility across the image components. To manually check for a recommended image, click on the Updates tab, select Image in the navigation pane. Next to the Edit button, click the ellipsis menu and select Check for Recommended Images. vSphere 7 Update 1 does not change the troubleshooting methodology for vSphere Lifecycle Manager. vCenter server messages related to vSphere Lifecycle Manager are written to the following log files in these various locations. ESXi messages related to vSphere Lifecycle Manager are written in the var log directory on the ESXi hosts. At the end of this video, we've met the following learner objectives. We've described vSphere Lifecycle Manager and vSAN integration. The key points are that vSphere Lifecycle Manager is now vSAN fault domain aware in vSphere 7 Update 1. The preferred fault domains are always upgraded first. vSAN clusters are validated against the VMware hardware compatibility list during lifecycle operations. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video.